every clip. Our smiles shine like the sun, crafting joy, embracing glee. Together we will run.
The police show up and they come and confiscate, wads of cash, brass knuckles, mace, the medieval kind,
Oh, wow.
and a bunch of other contraband. I'm telling you, that's the last time I do a fire safety talk at the kindergarten. I'm telling you, it's just the worst.
Yeah, kids
hi.
are crazy. Oh,
We're back.
We're back. Hi.
All right, so the next segment is Who Got to the Blood? It is another hotly debated topic. And so we're going to go, again, in context of the movie itself, without any additional information. Who got to the blood? Now, it's 2 to 3 possibilities depending on who you believe was assimilated when. So, first off, it could be Blair. He's sabotaging helicopters or tractors, unfortunately killing the dogs, busting the radio. He could have done the blood at that time.
I think, may I just do an aside? Because we're talking about in context of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Blair's always saying, watch Clark, watch Clark. No, literally, watch Clark.
Yes.
When they said he got to the dogs,
mm-hmm.
when Blair's having his freak out, he runs down, he's in the kennel all by himself.
Right.
And you see heartbreak and then rage.
Yeah, I mean, he's devastated.
He's like, I'm going to go kill Blair, screw this.
Mm-hmm.
If he was a creature, why, being alone, would he make that face?
Again, and other people have pointed this out as well, that, again, no words. There's no dialogue, nothing, but it shows you Clark was a red herring. He was human because you see the look on his face and the sheer brokenness of him.
Mm-hmm.
That is not a thing acting like it. There's no reason to. There's nobody around. There's no reason to put on a show. Clark was human. And obviously it's revealed later that he was. So, again, a visual indicator that there was a red herring. Now, the next person on the list is Palmer.
Is Bismarck a herring?
I don't know. Is he? Palmer. If you look closely during Blair's crack up, Palmer is not there. You'll see a couple stills when we post it up on the video here. Who's in the radio room and who's outside in the hallway. There are 2 people missing, Palmer and Knowles. Well, obviously we know Knowles is not a thing.
Well, once you get to the end. I mean, in context of the movie, at that point, you don't know.
You don't know. But, like I said, later on we know that Palmer was revealed to be a thing. So, again, he's missing during this time. The third possibility, it's very unlikely, and nobody has really ever said this, but I just want to throw it out there. If you believe Norris is a thing at this time, it's possibly him, but when Bennings is revealed to have been attacked and turned into a thing, he's there when they burn it up. He's there when they burn all the other specimens. He's there in the hallway during the crack up. So, again, a possibility maybe, but not very likely, honestly. And for us, we don't believe he's to be a thing at this point. So,
was it something Blair did while, before going out and busting up all the equipment?
Right. I mean, he's sabotaging everything else, so why not?
And
he being a biologist, he would kind of know something like that.
As someone who has had leaks in their fridge, I'm not going to say a ton, but I remember it happening a few times as a kid in the 80s with 80s fridges.
Mm-hmm.
And even now, every once in a while stuff leaks. It does not leak out instantaneously. No. There's a good seal. There's a good seal all the way around your fridge. There should be, let's just say.
Yeah.
So when something leaks and it hits that rubber gasket, it does take a while to leak out and leak through. So, because it
would be very slow to begin with, wouldn't it? Really?
Well, you're a nurse. You know how thick cold blood is anyway. For it to have leaked out, so to say, well, time-wise it doesn't work. It could, and especially if you've got it locked shut, so locks kind of pull it maybe a little bit tighter.
Right, especially if it's a hasp over the thing and it kind of pulls, like you said, pulls it tighter to keep it sealed.
Yeah, so if you've ever had a leak in the fridge and you're like, that was fine last night when I put it in there, why is it like a day later it's leaking out? Like,
the other facet of this is obviously they're talking about access to the blood was the key to the lock. How did the key get into the hands of whomever or whatever to sabotage the blood? When Windows discovers Bennings, you literally hear the keys drop and hit the floor. Could have been picked up by anybody.
And then he takes off and runs. He
Right. He
drops the
drops
keys
them
and
and he
runs.
runs. Yeah, he goes and gets Fuchs and Mac. They come back because I swear to God, I had a hold of him, and then they chase him outside. The keys are probably still on the floor. Later on, when Blair is having his freak out, eagle-eyed viewers will spot. You will see the keys on Gary's belt and hooked to his belt. And even Child says it later. Those keys rings is always attached to your belt. How can anybody lift it off of you? So the keys were not in play at that time. So if Palmer's missing doing the blood, how could he have done it?
Well, and being a mechanic, this is just in movie context. Being a mechanic, did he make a copy of the key? Is he able to make some kind of skeleton key? You know, can you just do something to jimmy the lock? You know,
right? He says, there's a lot of technical know-how, or being a creature of outer space, who knows what kind of technical know-how, and a simple padlock might be
that's nothing.
Not difficult at all to manipulate in some fashion.
Right. But I know some people who are mechanics will tell you, it's like, yeah, unlocking cars is a lot. You learn all different ways to undo a lock, because it's one of the biggest things people do is, they
lock themselves out.
Yeah, the keys are right there. I can see them. Yeah. Well, even you when you were a firefighter, that's something that happens.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't think you got that many calls.
No, they kind of called the police, or there's a lot of roadside assistance services.
AAA and such.
As volunteers, I don't know if that was something we even responded to. It's like, call 911. I like myself in the car. Tough shit.
Call somebody who cares.
Call AAA. And then later on, you see Blair's locked up in the shed, and then they discuss, okay, we can do the blood test. And Gary literally hands the key to Copper. And then the very next scene, Copper's walking up to it in his flared bell-bottom shoes as pants. And like I said, it's such a very 80s, late 80s, or early 80s, late 70s kind of attire. It's like, you just can't miss it. But there's blood oozing right out of the refrigerator. He says, hey, you guys, somebody got to the blood. He had the key. Now, again, who had access to it? Who could have got to it when? And that is the big mystery here.
Well, even some people say, was it Gary? Was Gary afraid that he was a creature and did it and then just lied about it? Or did any of them?
I hypothesize that self in my head sometimes, where I go back to it every now and then.
It's okay.
Where did Gary do it? I mean, he says, I give you my word, I did not go near the blood. But did he do it because, was he terrified that, well, what if I am? I don't want to be outed. I don't want to die.
Or any of them.
It's a possibility. Now, again, that's not very likely, but it's one of those things you kind of kick around in your head, and it's like, you go back to it every now and then. Is it a possibility?
Whereas you and I were even talking about, the creature could have just made these weird flat finger spikes and wiggled through the door. It literally is an endless possibility about the blood.
Right. And
when you're watching just in the movie context.
Yeah, contextually speaking, you really can't discern who did it, because the keys are in play at a certain point in time, but that happens the night before.
Yeah.
The keys are in Gary's possession or Copper's possession later, and then when you look at the fridge, like you said, it takes time for it to leak out. But it couldn't have been from last night. It was all leaking out.
Yeah, it can. I mean,
what if somebody noticed it if it was on the floor? You don't know.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It wouldn't have leaked out for hours. It takes a while to leak through that seal and gasket on a fridge. My favorite thing about that scene is Copper, when he's like,
yes.
he's like, well, you take the keys from me all the time, and when I do, I give it right back to you, bitch. Literally, that look he gives is just the bitchiest look. And now what?
Ball's in your court, Bob. Now defend that.
I love it. Oh.
So yeah, there's a lot of time between when the keys are up for grabs, so to speak, and then the discovery of the blood being sabotaged. And so when you try to look into the context, it's kind of it really doesn't fit, because there's, like I said, anybody could have gotten to it, but this is the night before, and so it can be a bit confusing. But like I said, it's Blair was sabotaging everything else, and he was not visible. He could have done it. Palmer was not around during the crack up in the radio room. He could have done it. Those are the two most likely candidates. And they also were both revealed to be things later in the movie. So it's basically anybody's guess. And like we said, could the creature have done it without the keys? I see its possibility.
When it comes to who got to the blood, there in movie context, it is literally endless possibility. I mean, you could just let your imagination go, and you're all right and you're all wrong at the same time, and it just doesn't matter. What the creators of the movie meant, you're gonna have to cut that little snippet out.
Oh yeah.
What the creators of the movie actually meant, we're gonna get to that in just a second. I just want to bring up this scene specifically gets into John Carpenter's storytelling. Where in this movie, aside from you being a little fly on the wall with, like we discussed, the shadow scene, and then basically looking over Blair's shoulder as he's watching the simulation, the rest of the movie, you are the 13th crew member.
Basically, that's how it makes you feel almost.
Because you are eye level with everybody else, and you are on the same, except for those two little earlier things, where you're essentially a fly on the wall, you really are at the same knowledge levels that you know what they know, and you do not know anything extra. Because even that, I mean, the way they did the shadow, you don't have the door closed in the scuffle.
No.
So the dog could have just gone in and gone out. You know, you don't know. It's just leading you to be more suspicious because they are trying to build paranoia and tension and fear and anxiety. But the blood test scene is really where you get sucked in the most, and you feel like, yeah, I'm them. I'm there with them. They're making me to be that 13th crew member or whatever. Crew member.
Yeah.
And that you have all their knowledge, and that's it. You have nothing extra. And that's what you have to go on. So you're thinking what they're thinking.
Yeah. And it's like you're not omniscient. You don't know things that they don't know. You just know what they know, and that's it.
Right.
And that's what the filmmakers intended, is this whole thing is meant to be unknown. They actually have no idea who got to the blood because they never concerned themselves with it. Just one of the things got it, and that's it. This is what the filmmakers intended. It's just, and that's what it is. It's meant to be unknown and unresolved, and that's it. You're not supposed to know, and unfortunately, the filmmakers aren't going to tell you because they don't know either.
Because it's not like Bill Lancaster said, well, I intended it to be so-and-so, but I'm just leaving it ambiguous. No. I'm just going to leave it where, you know, it would fit if.
Right.
No, he left it where it all fits. It all doesn't. And so it wasn't one of those things where it's like, yeah, in the back of my mind, I assumed it was always so-and-so, but I left it out anyway. No, they purposely wrote that scene, never intending it to actually have an answer.
No character will ever be revealed to have done the blood. So that's the way it is. So it's just left up to us, the fans, with our hypothesis and conjecture. Again, let's have a really nice discussion down below and get into it and see what you guys think. I love listening to the different ideas of how this could have been done. So let's have at it. Again, be nice, don't be nasty, be respectful.
Right, because if the filmmakers did not say, oh, we intended it to be boom.
Right.
And y'all are taking it wrong. No, that's not what's happening. They intended it. They never intended anything. So we're all right and we're all wrong all at the same time, and it all fits.
Right. And that's
and
it.
When did it happen? Nobody knows precisely when
it won't.
It happened.
You won't ever know. No.
Nope. So and that's the other. Somebody says, I definitively know. No, you don't, because they never filmed that with purpose. Nope.
It was never meant to be. They said they don't know. It's just it was done. That's it. It's anybody's guess.
It's built. That whole scene is mostly just to build more tension, to suck you in, and to build that paranoia. Now when you hear Mac, nobody knows who to trust. Well, that's what Blair says, but Mac is like, nobody knows who was who, and then you see that's the scene where calm, collected Fuchs loses his shit.
Yeah,
we talked to Joel Polis about that.
Right, and it says, well, Doc thought of the test. Child counters, was that supposed to clear him? And you see Fuchs get angry. He's mild-mannered and quiet, and yet he's yelling at one of the more intimidating people in the cast, and he loses it. That's where it is. The breakdown of these characters is like, that's how much mistrust is. He's yelling at someone who could easily bend him in half, and he's like, but he's defending his, a fellow scientist. No, you can't, put this on him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy lives in his head. Hugh Fuchs he's a scientist, but he's human, and the pressure's building because I mean, you remember COVID.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It was nuts out there.
Yeah.
You might be in line with a mask on, and somebody pulls their mask off, and off you go, you know?
Hmm.
So it was like that. I mean, that the situation was like that.
Right, right.
Cut to the fight scene in They Live. I don't mess with Keith David. No.
No. And for a little bit of extra stuff, a lot of people say, well, how could the creature have known to go for the blood if Copper just thought of the test or just mentions the test just before they discover?
He assimilates Blair, who's a biologist.
Right. Or you can go back to the 2011 movie and use that as canon. It's like, well, they were devising a blood test and they sabotaged the blood test there. So the creature realizes they're going to do that again. These people are smart.
Yeah.
They're going to do that again. So we got to eliminate the possibility.
Yeah.
And again, sabotaging the blood is just a tool to incorporate mistrust and paranoia. And then it leads to the actual infamous blood test scene later on.
Yeah. It's like, all right, well, I'm going to use blood in a different way.
Mhm.
It also, it's in the original novella, although you say it's far more complicated. They had a far more complicated idea.
Yes,
but then they wind up just using
how
something.
they devise a blood test to get a reaction was extremely complicated. It took days to do this.
It's like that science, no science kind of stuff
Yeah.
that people wrote about in
It's like,
early 20th
like I said,
century.
it's way too complicated to discuss. But then ultimately they just said, let's just stick a hot wire in the blood and see what happens. And there you go. So,
and there are, I don't know, do you want to talk about people think that it references AIDS?
well, some people do believe that this movie is somewhat of an allegory to the AIDS crisis, because you hear the term. There's a lot of things about blood. There's terms of the word infection. You don't know who has this infection. It really isn't. This was made. It came out in 1982 June.
It was made in 81.
The previous year, that's when most of it was shot and made. And the AIDS crisis wasn't even a crisis at this point. In late 1981, they didn't know what was going on. They just knew a lot of healthy young men were dying from some mysterious illness. They didn't know what they knew now.
It's not until the end of 82, long after this has been released, they even called it AIDS.
Right, yeah, September of 1982 when it was officially termed AIDS.
Well, and just simply enough, the original novella has a blood test.
Mm-hmm.
They're using blood to identify. They're talking about, I don't know if they use the term infection or whatnot, but they do use a blood test in that. It harkens back to that. And it's a bit of Mandela effect to say, well, it's AIDS crisis. But, and, Tom Waits even feels now that that's what it was. And John Carpenter said in an interview in the 90s, I think, or no, actually recently, he had said, because he said it could, you could look at it as an allegory to even COVID.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you can use it as anything. And Stewart said that whole point was it's that beast inside a man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I directly asked Stuart Cohen, was the AIDS crisis on your mind when you were making this movie? He says, no, it wasn't even on the radar yet.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for anybody, and I'll have the quote up here on the screen. If anybody, it's just, he referred to it as retroactive nonsense. So, yeah.
They weren't making any point.
No. They just wanted to make a horror movie. Some people even talk about like it was reference to like Cold War stuff. No. They just wanted to make a horror flick. They made a good horror flick.
The only movie John Carpenter admits to having a subtext to was They Live. He says, yeah, it's anti-capitalism.
About consumerism and capitalism, yes.
But when it came to, no, they were just trying to do a scary movie based off of a novella, off of one of their favorite movies. It's like almost someone is saying, don't overthink it. Don't try to because even you and I growing up in the 80s, it's more mid 80s is when AIDS starts getting more known.
No, we were kids in the 80s, and it wasn't until like mid 80s when it really started getting on everybody's radar, where it was a big deal. It took a while.
And yet, John Carpenter will say, take it as an allegory for whatever you wish.
Mm-hmm.
Because when it got down to writing the movie, and I believe you talked to Stuart Cohen about this, because he says the alien is almost superfluous. It is the beast inside the man.
Yes.
That is what they were going for. And
Right.
it's the whole movie is about paranoia and what would someone do if.
You can almost say
what
it's
kind of nice you seem like the nicest person, but I don't trust you.
you could almost say it's a breakdown of what would happen to society if this were to happen on a grand scale. And you see it in the zombie movies. The biggest threat isn't the zombies. It's the other humans who take advantage of this and
want to take control, take power,
Right.
have whatever for whatever
and
reason.
it's the same thing here. It's like it's a breakdown of humanity. It's the monster within the man, as he put it. And that's exactly what this movie is about. It's a great horror flick.
Don't ever read the blood scene. It's really just a reference back to the original. And then if you want to take it, the 2011 even uses that as well.
So that's what we have for Who Got to the Blood.
Nobody knows.
No one will ever know.
Nobody knows.
So,
nobody wanted to.
Love to see your discussion down below.
Nobody wanted to care. When I get my keys, I give them right back to you.